Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a really good day. I just wrote a new poem, I think yesterday or a couple days ago. So if you're into that kind of stuff, check it out. But for this video, I wanted to talk about fear mongering. I just got off work and I've been noticing something really prevalent within mankind, and that's fear mongering, whether it be with politics, laws, whether it be with religion, everyday life, culture. There's always some type of fear mongering going on. And the thing about, and I know a lot of people are in the Bible, but the thing about the Bible is I don't think people are using it in a way that's edifying at all. Because, yeah, the Bible has a lot of subservience in it, but that's the kicker. People will constantly talk about Jesus and God, but they're not really like listening to even what the Jesus and the God in that book are saying. Because if you pay attention to the New Testament, everywhere it's saying, do what you want outside of causing harm. So basically living a beautiful life that doesn't cause harm to others. That's the gist of the story. Changing from your old ways to be better. Well, the problem I run into is like 90% of the time, probably like 95% of the time, somebody says Jesus or God. The words afterwards are usually hell, torment, subservience. You're going to pay. You're going to be punished. Same thing with Yahweh, YHW, Yahweh, God, all these names, Allah. And predominantly people swim in punishments over and over and over. And that's what they like to dwell in. And I like to tell you that, first of all, before I even really continue on, nobody knows what happens when we die. And nobody can tell you you're going to be punished. Because they haven't died. Even if a person goes unconscious to the real world and now are seeing things within their subconscious, you haven't died. If you died, you wouldn't be seeing any of those things. Death means you're gone. Gone. Not, oh, I flatlined for 10 seconds and I was revived, as in you were gone. Nobody has done that and come back. If they tell you they have, they're liars. So, even if you guys want to, and I was just talking to somebody about this, I looked up Scientology and it was just basically talking about, it's basically coping with death, using religion and the imagination to create afterlives and coping mechanisms to keep a person calm and steady, to keep them relaxed. I say in a lot of my videos, you guys shouldn't worry about death and you shouldn't think too much about death outside of survival, because you're thinking on the other side of a fence. And let me explain, like in terms of mathematics. If you go try to divide a number by zero or divide zero by a number, you're either going to get zero or undefined. The undefined is what I want to talk about. The reason it's undefined is because with your living blood, with your living consciousness and psyche, you're thinking about something that you are not, death. We have no idea what happens when we go, and all that you're going to go to hells, you're going to be punished, you're going to get this, you're going to get that, you're going to blah, 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 is all a lie. And they have no idea. Every thought from their imagination that causes them to go teach and preach and spread lies from the pit is their vain, unaware Lord giving them buffoonery, because they've been manipulated by a book or themselves. Because a book can do nothing but sit there while you read it. The one over the book, hovering over the waters, the Most High, is who I am, is who you are. Whether you're man or woman, God or goddess, whatever you want to call yourself. But essentially, it's the fear that is binding everybody. Because unknown to many people, the tree of life is the flaming sword. What caused them to leave the garden? What caused them to become irate with God? What caused them to curse themselves? The tree of life. Remember, they ate from it, and then they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The knowledge of good and evil is just a tree. It's just words on a page. The tree of life are just words on a page. I am the tree of life. You are the tree of life. And depending on what you pick up when you read some of these words are the types of fruits you will start to produce. The reason the consciousness is locked out from oneself. Who's the angel of fire? Who controls the fire? So the flaming sword and the tree of life are God himself, God herself. So let me give you an analogy. I have a unconscious and a neurological mind that does a lot of things. And then I have my consciousness, which is apart but separate, if that makes sense. The one that created me is me. If you don't believe me, do some science. Mitosis and meiosis. The ones who I should honor and respect that came together and created that seed are the parents. Honor thy mother and father. A lot of the fear that your parents have passed down to the children was forced through violence. I don't care if you eat meats, but I care if you're a cannibal. I care if you're a psycho and a tormentor and a masochist. I don't care if you're a vegetarian. I don't care if you eat kosher. None of that shit matters. And most of the time looks disgusting. You want to know how I know these people are miserable? Because they're making a whole bunch of stuff that looks like meat and tastes like meat. That doesn't make sense. There was a man named Yinan who I followed for a while who just is looking for the Mashiach. But he's telling everybody with his unawareness, following Judaism, that they have to become vegetarians while he eats stuff that looks like meat on camera. Had the nerve to strike me yesterday and tell me to stop acting like a buffoon and child, but is asking everybody if they're the Messiah, and then when they conversate in the chats, he gets upset with what they say. Bruh, you're a colonizer like your forefathers. Your true nature came out, all it took was some time. Stop asking me and other people if I am the Messiah. And then when you get the answer you're looking for, because look, Jesus, nobody liked him, blah, blah, fucking blah, blah, blah. Then when I reproof people because they sound fucking stupid, oh, he's not the blah, 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 he's a mean ass, he's a hard ass. Y'all are playing in your fucking imaginations. You're pulling fear out of it constantly to constantly manipulate people. And I'm waking up everybody who doesn't want that shit anymore. It's not just religion, politics. That Jasmine Crockett chick. Oh, they're creating new laws that if you're an American citizen, you're going to get deported. Why aren't you telling the whole truth? That's not what the law says. And they're not deporting American citizens. They're being funny and trying to get rid of birthrights and other types of citizens and people who got their citizenship, who are now American. I love the left because it constantly fights the Nazi right. Whether it's the left, turn it to the right, there was always another wing to fight this shit. But they are becoming the right. They're doing exactly what the Republicans did to Obama during Obama's term. Oh, he's destroying the economy. Oh, look what he just did. He destroyed himself. Oh, shut up. Nobody cares. And the people that do care need something to do. They're like mindless robots, following anything they can find. Perfect love casts out fear. You're afraid because you believe in an entity in your imagination instead of you being the Most High. I don't know how many times on this camera I have to say sus is Latin for pig and people still parade and dance around me talking about Jesus. I don't know. So this is the irony of this. If I curse in English, they lose it. If I say certain words in English or don't say their man God's name in English, they lose it and they say all these things about how those words matter. But if I tell them the God they're worshiping's name is I am a gracious pig and they're clowning the one who was crucified and calling him a pig, oh, the son, what we call the Son of Man don't matter. Oh, the names don't matter. Y'all are bound by idols. If I came up and told you that something was a curse word for sex and you were a foreigner, you'd be like, okay, thank you for telling me that. But I tell y'all what Jesus means and I tell y'all where God comes from, and they still use it. They still parade around it. They don't care. They're in their pens, and until they're ready to walk out, which is a lot of times death, because their fantasies aren't coming true, then that's when it's going to be, I guess. But I'm tired of people fear mongering, celebrities, all the time, even outside of what Kanye is doing, whether it's true or not, any of this stuff. The point is, you guys are being Nazis. You're not letting him do anything. You're saying, oh, he can't do this, he can't do that, he can't. Sure, most men in America have domestics. A lot of them do. A lot of men are stupid and run their mouth and treat their wives like shit and cheat and do all kind of stuff and are married. But this man, Shannon Sharp, does something. Oh, he's evil, the devil, we warned you. African Americans, all we want is equality and freedom and equality. But as soon as a news story is talking about a white woman, black women come in legions. Oh, that heifer, that Becky, potato salad, blah, 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 blah. Then when I see white people doing it, other white people, that's racist. That's not right. Don't do it. What the But then you know how ultimately it is? At a higher scale, a lot of African Americans teach and preach about freedom. But then these people will be funny and create funny laws and sayings and right wings of agendas to walk around the racism so nobody gets mad anymore. We don't want them in our town. We don't want them in that neighborhood and they need to pay taxes and do this and blah, 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 blah. We don't want them to be able to vote if they don't have IDs and this and that and da. It's all us versus them. People need to remember to love who I am in the heart with all thy heart and soul, and thy neighbors the same. Other people the same, not just your neighbors. Jobs, work. I'm going to tell on this. I'm going to tell on that. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. Y'all be grown as fuck, acting like little ass goddamn kids. This person didn't blah, 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 so I'm never talking to them again. I think they didn't talk to me right. Somebody told me that another person don't like getting a report from me because I'm not nice to them and I'm dismissive towards their feelings. What does that mean? You give me the report and we talk and you leave. Yes, master girlfriend, friend buddy. I'm glad you had a great day. The fuck out of my face. It don't make no sense. People won't do their job. And then when you don't get on your knees and gargle, like how RFK Jr. sounds, talking about when I was growing up, there wasn't tics or Tourette's and why all these diseases exist. But then look at the back of all their foods and goods. How many chemicals and products they put on it. Autism isn't real. I don't know what it is. We're going to make people register if they have it. How about people who register because it sounds like they're gargling nuts all day? I ain't registering for shit. Talking about tics and Tourette's. You are a nut. These people, if you're blessed enough to be awake, and this is another thing when I want to teach awakened people. Sometimes research ain't the way to go. Because understand what I'm saying when I say that. I'm talking about in terms of politics, in terms of religion, history. Sometimes people will come asking me questions on my page like, was this King David or was this that? First of all, how do I know? How? You guys, you want to know one thing I noticed when reading about the red words in that book? You guys will say he had knowledge of everything, but he didn't. The only thing he taught was how to love. He wasn't like prophecy and the stuff he did prophecy was stuff I know. This country is going to be destroyed one day and all the bricks are going to be rubble. What nation did that not happen to? That's common sense. Like he didn't. Everybody's like, I'm a prophet, I could prophesy, I could do this. But the man God in their book didn't even do that. And the Revelations was written in the 1500s. Google where's the oldest Torah from. They'll say the 1st century or something like that, 1000 AD or something like that. The oldest, I can't, because they're not going to listen. They don't care. I can say as much as I want. That's why I say history is not, but just be a better person. Because they're not telling the truth. They lie constantly. These words and names are all just made up stuff anyway by humans, so none of them mean anything or anything. As long as you're eating and sleeping and breathing and not causing harm. The rest is fear-mongering bullshit. We should be like the animals or higher than the animals in terms of having tools and peace and all this other stuff, but we're so afraid of everything that it doesn't make sense. People become so murderous and violent and masochistic, it doesn't make sense. Life becomes so hard that we become depressed. As a man, like, if you're not rich, like women are just, especially the mainstream society. And then when you do finally find somebody, good luck. It's just bullshit all the time. You know, the number of transsexuals I see on TikTok and everywhere else that aren't telling people that they switched and changed, or people that aren't even fully just having titties, and y'all are fucking weird, man. Y'all are, because all you have to say is put disclaimers or something. Y'all don't. You're lying for a reason. Maybe talk about being your true self, fitting in your body, being who you are, but you don't tell nobody the truth. And you're all liars for the most part. There's this one Russian dude, he's so buff that he's showing and he's tricking people, and then after the video, he's like, oh yeah, what you want to do? Shows his muscles. Men are fucking weird. I don't understand homosexuality from a man perspective, because I told y'all before, men make me even more irritated than women. They're violent, brutal, stupid, dumb for the most part. The laws and stuff don't make sense. They want to become rich, so they mess the world up and create slaves, but then it messes them up because it destroys the infrastructure. It's just all fear-mongering bullshit. And I see why sometimes in the ancient past, men were ready to just war it for and save their families and stuff, because this is stupid. This like Yenin, right? The guy who I was just talking about, Y-I-N-O-N, the fucking dude. Now that's a mental home case. This guy, right, who is teaching we need to be like the Zot, whatever, and from Israel and all that, and we need to listen to the rabbis and stop eating meat and only eat plants. Noah was the one that taught. Okay, so if you go to Judaism, they're going to send you to the Noahides. Noah was the one that taught to sacrifice animals. Noah was the one that put the fear of dread and all this other shit. Noah is further putting more outside laws, outside of the covenant, into people's heads and teaching them that Ham is a cursed slave and that Japheth should extend its borders. Now look at what these Europeans are doing with their borders. Like, if you guys don't break away from this book, you're going to keep slapping yourselves over the head. And it ain't just period. Waking up and realizing you're a god or goddess and you hold all the power. And when I say you hold all the power, that don't mean to go start warring and destroying things. Me personally, I don't give a fuck no more. And when I say that, I give plenty of fuck. I'm nice, I'm kind, I'm sweet. I'm still that person I need to be when I need to be. But people come in, this girl at work said blah, blah, blah about you. This person at work, I have tics and Tourette's sometimes, and I'm growing out of them. And so it's from a lot of physical things that happen, but other things also psychological. Tics are genetic. Have been around for, RFK Jr. is a fucking idiot. So even my children have them. You can tell they're my children before you even so I don't even remember what these people in the political spectrum right now are throwing me way the fuck off, dude. And the more I get away from it, it's just everybody. No, so somebody at the job, right? We were sitting through a meeting, and I was doing this every once in a while because it's just something I'm going to do. I feel tickles in my throat. Sometimes I have the nerves to do it. It feels like if I don't clear my throat, it's not harder to breathe, but it's just the whole thing. And I'm not finna explain it all. Somebody went around at the fucking job going, are you getting sick? I think Juan's getting me sick. I think he has something, a bug or a virus. Don't know what the fuck they talking about. And just started a whole bunch of shit because it got back to me from like 3 or 4 people. So at first my initial reaction, that fucking. But I thought to myself, remember, well, what are you going to do? Even if you win at whatever you're about to do you want to put in all that time and energy to even give a fuck? Because they want me to respect their pronouns and shit, but are making fun of somebody with tics and Tourette's and don't even realize they are because they're ignorance. So that anger you just saw me felt, I went somewhere quiet once I became aware to it. I dealt with it in my own way. And I continue to respect their pronouns and respect them. Because if I don't, then me as an African-American straight male will get pummeted by their society. Now, you see how that's kind of like silly for me to submit in that type of situation? But there was an episode of Dave Chappelle one time. And in Dave Chappelle, it's called When Keeping It Real Goes Wrong. And so essentially, I've taken kindly to that over the years. And I've learned that sometimes it's just best to let things go and to leave people alone and to just continue to stay in your bubble and not let things affect you, because these news stories about Palestine will make you mentally ill. these new stories about Africa. They show little African kids, but there are starving children everywhere. There was an episode on South Park about that. They're just fear mongering. They want you to think we're monkeys and starving and need their help. But France is being destroyed right now for the last 4 years. And do you know why? Look up who Ibrahim Traoré is. Look up what Trump did to the farmers in Europe. Look what Obama did to try to help them. But everybody's saying he's an evil bastard. I don't have the patience no more. I don't. A lot of you people are psychopaths. And all I can do is teach the ones whom I love and teach the ones who have the sense to rise above. You guys want to play in the lake of fire some more? Have some fun. Hell is from Helle Germanic paganism. So it's Gud, Guthis, Gud, Gudan, God. From Odin. Gudin, Odin. Thursday, Thursday. The gods from Greek and Rome and Hades and all that came from the 12 judges of the feather of Muad. Idea of hell was way back but it wasn't hell back then. It was just the afterlife. You just got murked by the crocodile or whatever. And even the crocodile, it's from Kemet lore. They stole all their shit. They, meaning Europeans and Semitic people. They have been raiding Africa since 2000 BC and raiding the Indus Valley since 2000 BC. Talking about they weren't invading them. They're sweet, kind, Anglo-Saxon, Syrian, Denisovian, Neanderthalians. And I heard a comedian say recently, which I said this in a video before, if hominids evolved to humans, and Africans are humans, 100%, we don't possess any Neanderthal, y'all say? So that means if y'all possess 5 to 10% Neanderthal DNA, and Denisovans or Asians possess certain amounts of Denisovan DNA, that means the only humans of actual humans are Africans. This isn't hate speech. This is an actual conversation of intellect. Think about what I just said, and if I'm lying, don't do the research. Africans are the only humans that are 100% human on the planet. Other subspecies of humans mixed into Africans back home, and now they're predominantly human again. What I'm saying isn't meant to say your monkeys are not human, a species of humans, or any of that. I'm saying the hominids that control the earth now are humans. And you guys talk about how we're monkeys and all that other stuff, but we are the closest genetics to humans on the planet. Have a nice day. And quit fucking fear-mongering, because none of it's real. You're not going to hell. And if you want to be in hell for the rest of your life, keep listening to some of these people in these satanic religions.